Same thing. About ready to talk some football here in a minute. Inviting some peeps. We're going to stick to Detroit Lions today. Sounds like one of them, right? Here we go. What's going on? Somebody out there.
You like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning to everybody that's out there. Welcome to today's going to be the Detroit Lions Talk with Russell Wayne. I am going to concentrate on some of this Lions stuff because it seems like we're only one breaking news right here. There isn't really breaking news, but we are in training camp, and today we're going to talk some safety depth, injury, and the scares that we've had. Rookie Koolaid Machine is brewing here in the D. And I know that we do have some Packer fans and Bear fans and Viking fans that are watching, so you guys can just kind of troll us if you want to. Can we call Brad Holmes a great GM yet? That was an argument that I was having with some Bear fans in the groups that we're in. Is it too early? Is it too early to call it that? But good morning to you, Chance. Good morning to you, Calvin. And Woody was here, but I told him that we were going to talk about Lions, so Woody's bouncing. So I don't blame him for that. I know that Barry is here in the comments, so he wants to hear
by the power of Ra.
By the power of Ra. I got one, and also
you like that,
and you can get some you like that too. Kirk Cousins is in the house, right?
By the power of Ra.
We got Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, we got some old school going on right there. And then the fact that, wow, the Detroit Lions are the Vegas leaders to win the NFC North.
Playoffs?
Really?
Playoffs?
Are we talking about playoffs with the Detroit Lions? Oh, my God, they haven't been good in like 100 years, right? I mean, Calvin says that Brad is doing a great job so far, so we can start with the Brad Holmes deal. Hey, how about the LMAO and the Rodgers new deal with the Jets? That is interesting right there. I don't know if that's NFC North. I mean, do we call NFC North because it was Aaron Rodgers, right? Because he was here. It's interesting that Aaron Rodgers would take a pay cut, to sign his new deal. That is kind of a, sticking your middle finger up in the face of the Green Bay Packers right there, because he didn't do that here. He didn't do that in the NFC North for the Packers. He got his money, and then he goes to New York and gives New York, start spreading the news, gives them a discount. Come on, man. Calvin saying you're doing a great job so far. And the argument that I got into about Brad Holmes online was the fact that he hasn't done anything yet. We can't rate him well. I put a post out onto the Detroit Lions Villain Squad talking about the how well that Brad Holmes has done, and it got hit with some adversity, saying I can't rate him between 1 and 10. You can't rate him a 10 for what he's done so far because he hasn't been in the league long enough. He hasn't done enough. They haven't won a playoff game, and they won't give him a good ranking until he does something. But here's my problem with that mentality is you're judging him based off of things that he hasn't done yet and that he hasn't proven that he can't do yet. And if you're looking at just his entire body of work so far, which is only 2 years, what he has done has been very, very impressive. And you can't deny that no matter what fan base you're part of, what Brad Holmes has done. And year one, you're telling me you picked Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown in that one draft. If you get two players like that in one draft, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a top 10 wide receiver that was selected in the 4th round. Brad Holmes deserves credit for drafting a high-end receiver in the 4th round. And Penei Sewell, the dude is a top 5 tackle in this league, and it's undeniable. You can't even deny that. The dude is nasty, and if you actually watch football and know football, you have to give credit to Penei Sewell for what he's done so far. So there's 2 picks right there of people going to the Pro Bowl, being some of the best at their position, that he picked in 2021. He deserves credit for that. Brad Holmes deserves an A+ for that draft for getting two guys like that. Not to mention he found Kirby Joseph. Or maybe Kirby Joseph last year, but in the first, okay, so we had Aleem McNeil in 2021. We can't talk about Aleem McNeil in 2021. I want to talk about 2022 yet. Aleem McNeil is a starting defensive tackle in this league. That was their 3rd round pick. Levi Onwuzurike. There was a spotting. He is at training camp, uninhibited. He has a shot to make this roster. I mean, it is what it is. He had a great first-year draft. You got 3 starters and possibly 4. I mean, if he ends up having Levi make this team, then that's crazy that you would hit on 4 guys in your first draft, and 2 of them will probably be all pros this year when it comes down to that. And then you go into the Brad Holmes 2nd year. And here's something like, I know that we can't rate these guys 100% yet. Okay. So you don't have to come at me like, oh, he hasn't done, these guys haven't done, they have to do it for more than a couple of years. Well, we have a 2-year sample size of people that Brad Holmes has drafted. So I'm not going to go into this year, with Jahmyr Gibbs and all that. And we all have high expectations. We'll get into that a little bit later. But in 2022, Brad Holmes drafted the highest amount of sacks ever by rookies. The 2022 Detroit Lions draft class led the NFL's historically, the most sacks ever in history by a draft class was Brad Holmes last year. You have to give him credit for that. He found James Houston in the 6th round. He had 8 sacks in 7 games. He drafted Malcolm Rodriguez in the 6th round. That's a starting linebacker in the 6th round. He has to be given credit for that. I mean, he drafted James Mitchell in the 4th round. Okay. I mean, he's neither here or there, but he made the team. And 3rd round, Kirby Joseph. I think he's going to be pretty good. So I don't know. Let's see what we got in here. We got, Woody, dude, I appreciate you. Woody from the House Hall Report. They're doing every single Wednesday, and they're going to be doing a show on Sunday for Bear fans out there. Woody is a Bear fan watching me talk about the Lions on here, and I appreciate you, man, because this is football talk. We're talking football. It is Thursday, and when we get into the regular season, Thursday is going to be the Lions' day. Wednesday in the morning, I will dedicate it to talking all about Bears, even though I don't like to do that. That's because I like Woody, because Woody is one of the great hosts on the House Hall Report right there. Facebook user, I think that's Barry, LMAO, and the Rodgers new deal with the Jets. I know that you're talking about that because you hit me up in the inbox. Calvin says, Brad is doing a great job so far. Good morning. I only have 1 hour left. At work started at 6 a.m. Oh gosh, that's a long day. At 6 a.m. I was taking care of my granddaughter, and she got up at 4 o'clock and decided to get me up with her, and I don't mind. That's good. That's good. We spent some time with each other. Oh, I am still here. We're having some issues streaming to the Bill the Packer fan page. I apologize if that's coming through. Come right on over to the Detroit Lion Billing Squad if you want to watch that right here, or you can go to the NFC North main event. If you're having trouble watching that, I did try to pop that in there. I was trying to run it into some groups, and then I put it into Bill the Packer fan spot, but what are we going to do? Here we are. Goot is a backstabbing B word right there. I'm not going to say that. I know that's you, Barry. I know that's you, Barry. You don't like Gutekunst. You have a different word for him. Yep, there he is. And and it's me, Jeremy Padawan. Jeremy's Padawan is on there, and don't forget how much he's managing the cap and the cap wizardry. That's another thing too that Brad Holmes is doing. Brad Holmes is also managing the cap and getting these free agents. And if you notice, Brad Holmes is not signing guys to long deals. I mean, you have to really earn the 2-3 year deals for David Montgomery and not David Montgomery and the Cameron Sutton. My bad. It was on the top of my head. Those were good 3-year deals. You know, those are guys you expect to be there, but they're not giving out these 5-year deals like the previous regimes did with, you know, Bob Quinn and Millen, the 5-year super deals for Trey Flowers. It's like those long deals for the people that are outside of your organization. It's not good. I mean, you don't know how they're going to mesh with your team. And, you know, a 3-year deal can be a 2-year deal, you know, because once you get done with the first 2 years, you're usually front loading those contracts. And when you get into the end of the contract, they are movable after that second year. So when you say 3 years, if it's bad, then you can always get rid of them at 2. But you bet on those guys. Most of the deals that Brad Holmes has done has been 1-year deals, 1-year prove it deal. And then if you prove it, then like Charles Harris, he gets a 2-year deal after that. And that's cool. And then they throw these void years at the end and make it work and all that. But Brad Holmes has done a good job for the Lions, and you can't really deny that. And one of the proofs to that, we'll go on to one of our other topics right here, which is the safety depth. We had a scare as Detroit Lion fans when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson went down in the training camp. It really it threw people for a loop. It threw me for a loop, because I'm going to be honest with you about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. When they signed him, that is the moment that I thought that the Lions could actually get into the playoffs and make noise and possibly do something special. It was the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson signing. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had been injured and he was going to miss half the season or something like that, it wouldn't have affected me. It wouldn't have changed my mind a little bit. You can't lose a guy like that. You can't just lose a guy like that and expect the next guy to come up and play at a top 5 level. Because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a top 5 safety in this league. He led the league in interceptions, and that would have been a loss. But I wanted to talk about the depth, because if we did lose him, and this is what people were talking about, is the depth that was behind him. They drafted Brian Branch in the 2nd round, and then when he went out, Brian Branch stepped in and took the opportunity to jump from the 3rd team to the 2nd team just by the opportunity that was voided by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson being gone out of the training camp practice. So there are guys behind Chauncey Gardner-Johnson that can step up. It's not, we wouldn't be totally screwed, but losing a guy like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, it would be hard to just say that this rookie's going to step up and he's just going to be in there and they're going to be just fine. Really? I mean, that's a lot of optimism right there. I would call that borderline homerism to expect a Brian Branch to come in and step in there for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. But luckily, this was a day-to-day injury, and he could be back by the end of the week from what the reports are saying. No ligament damage. So, I don't know. So don't forget how he's managed. Okay. So made genius trades, made the salary cap. I think that we're talking about. We'll get back. We'll get to that. We're gonna hit that up here in a second. We're gonna hit Aaron Rodgers here in a second. I want to make sure that we finish this topic right here. At least we are avoiding cap hell, like cough the Vikings. Yes, the Vikings are in cap hell. Facebook user, that is probably Barry again. So you're banking on Gardner to get 6+ interceptions this season. Gosh, I love it when People put words in my mouth because I didn't say that. I said he got 6 interceptions last year. But what I am banking on is him being a good player that knows the terminology of Aaron Glenn's system that he played with in New Orleans. So he's counting on him not just to get interceptions, but to be leadership in the back end of that secondary where we just had, like Kirby Joseph, Tracy Walker, they're coming back. But this guy was in Aaron Glenn's system for a couple of years. So he knows it probably even better than the guys that are on the team. So that is a huge loss. Sorry, meant like being in. Okay. No, that's John Dorn. Okay. So John Dorn, the other Facebook, I love you, John. I Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was a big signing to me. I don't expect him to get 6 interceptions, but let me ask you something back there. Would it surprise you if he came in and had more than 6 interceptions this upcoming season? I mean, I think that he could have more than 6 interceptions just as easy as I could bank on him having 6. He could have less than that because what happens when you get a lot of interceptions is they start scheming away from you. And I think that the rest of the league knows that when he gets there, that they are going to have to dictate part of their offense to go away from guys like Chauncey Gardner. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. This team is never set up for the next man up like we are now. Years past, that statement used to be scary. And that is true. That is true. And that's why I wanted to put that in there is the safety depth. Like, you drafted this guy in the second round. Usually when the Lions would draft somebody in the second round, they would it's almost like you would demand that guy to start, right? I mean, you're coming in, you're a second round pick. We need you to come in and contribute immediately. This isn't the case for Brian Branch. We have safety depth. It isn't just Harris. Harris isn't even really a safety. He's more of a box cornerback, a lot like he plays the position that Chauncey Gardner plays, where you're just kind of moving in the middle there, can move up and play the run. When you had him at a free safety, Harris wasn't very good, but when they moved him to cornerback slot, he played really well last year. And I just put those 2 guys on there. It isn't just those 2. Don't forget about Tracy Walker. Don't forget about Kirby Joseph going into his second year. Starling Thomas, undrafted free agent. I'm sorry to tout that, but this guy's moving up our depth chart. And may actually take the job from one of our veterans. And there's another testament to Brad Holmes. So they do have the depth, but I mean, to say any of those guys are Chauncey Gardner is a stretch. You're hoping that a couple of those combination of those guys would be able to come in there and, make up the production, but you can't say that's just going to happen. So Calvin says Gardner-Johnson just needs to do his thing along with the rest of the secondary and we'll be fine. It's like a Swiss Army dude, right? Because we have a good starting secondary and you're really just putting Gardner-Johnson. He's going to be able to go anywhere. He's a positionless player. Johnson could get 3 or 4 alone against Fields. I guess, yeah. I mean, it could possibly be true right there. I mean, Fields, you can shake him. Like once you start putting pressure on him, you can get to him. The dude is an electric athlete to stay in games, but when you don't have a team that can stand up to the bullies on the other side at the end of a game, that all that athletic ability ain't really going to help him in a street fight, except for running away from it. But if you're getting bullied up front, like the Bears were last year, and there was no answer last year. Let's not get it twisted. When you were playing good teams, your offensive line failed you. Chicago Bears, and you can't expect that Justin Fields is just going to solve all of those problems. If you don't get better blocking and better production out of your skill positions, then it is going to be a long year again. You won 3 games last year. You guys could win 6 games, Chicago Bears, and be better and have an improvement and have something to mark your improvement with. So let's get into. Barry wanted to talk about the Rodgers thing. I'm not a big fan of talking about this Rodgers thing, but it is out there, and I think that it does need to be talked about. Aaron Rodgers takes a pay cut to stay and to help out the New York Jets, which is something that he never did at all for the Green Bay Packers. So as a Green Bay Packer fan, what do you think about that? Especially you, John Dorn. I know that you're not a Rodgers fan. I mean, he was really a cancer for that locker room, wasn't he? I mean, I can do that. Oh, man. Barry, you're killing me. Like, I'm trying to run the show at the same time, and for me to be able to call you, if you can call me, that would be awesome. Because I don't know where your number is on my phone. So, and I'm not going to throw my number in here, but I would have to figure that out. Dalvin Cook, Woody says, Dalvin Cook is visiting the Jets today. God, I thought we were going to be talking all Lions today, but that is interesting for a couple different reasons right there. It's like, there we go. Let's see if we can get on the line here and put him through. We don't have to put him on. Can I, Barry? Let me see if I can hear you here. All right. Let me see. I got to get those Bluetooth. Let me hook you. You are in, supposedly. Go ahead and say some stuff, Barry.
Brilliant, mate. Thanks for putting us on the show. Today, I was scrolling down my Facebook on a few Packers pages, and I'm seeing all the hate and spite towards Aaron Rodgers, right? I had left a few comments on these Packers posts because some people have short memories of how this guy was treated as a Hall of Fame quarterback, you know, carrying the team, carrying the state of Wisconsin week after week, primetime football, everyone singing the guy's name and praises. You've got to ask yourself, let's put yourself in Aaron Rodgers' shoes, right? You've been watching the team get dismantled every single season. Good players being pushed out the door, right? You know they're not drafting you or trading to get you good weapons, because if they were trading to get me a good weapon, where was the trade last year or 2 years ago when Devontae Adams left to go to the Raiders? Sammy Watkins? Come on. That's a drop from a 10 out of 10 quarterback down to a level 2 or 3 quarterback. You know,
right?
Going from Devontae Adams down to Sammy Watkins, right? So when you bring it to the draft, then never drafting them weapons, never drafting them protection, and the backstabbing was done in 2020. And I'm seeing a couple of days ago, Mark Murphy, it was the post on one of the official Green Bay Packers pages where he says, we're going to retire Aaron Rodgers' jersey and we're going to have him back at Lambeau, you know, as a Hall of Famer here. All these Packers fans hating him. If Aaron Rodgers has any sense, he should be phoning Mark Murphy and saying, thanks, but no thanks, I ain't coming back to Green Bay. And it's typical that, because I'd seen his documentary where he says that legendary Packers players, including Vince Lombardi, get street names after them. Aaron Rodgers, when he was a Packers, was saying, oh, that would be great to get a street after me. If Aaron Rodgers has any sense and he's checking all the hatred towards him, he should go. Why would you take a pay cut? Why would you take a pay cut when you're not getting protected, you're not getting weapons, and they backstab you in 2020? See, on that 2020 draft, I was on one of these other Packers. Like, I'm on your page, you're a Lions guy, I'm on your shows, I'm enjoying the Lions stuff that you're talking about. And hey, I take it as a privilege that you've got me on call, right? I appreciate that. Well, there was a Packers team.
Likewise.
And I, well, thanks, mate. There was a Packers group that I'm going to keep anonymous. And I didn't say the proper F word. I said frickin'. I said, we got Aaron frickin' Rodgers. What are we doing for him? Now, that wasn't me venting to the guy about the guy. That was me just as a Packers fan frustrated about what are we actually doing for this guy. That guy took it upon himself and tried to call me out on his show, and I had mailed him privately. The guy blocked me because the guy is smack. I'm defending my guy, Aaron Rodgers. I don't forget the clutch nights. I don't forget the clutch games when there's seconds left on the clock and there's like, well, predominantly it was always like 30 seconds or 35 seconds on the clock and either a field goal or a Hail Mary's going to win the game. Who's your money on, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? We'll leave that aside. You know, you know where my money is. And we're not going to get this year with Jordan Love. I would like Jordan Love to have a good season, but here's where Packers fans are also a bit deluded. I've got a feeling Jordan Love's going to beat the Aaron Rodgers starting season. Aaron Rodgers was 6-10. I think our season's going to be 4-13. But
wow,
4-13, mate. Yeah, 4-13. And I think the first game's going to be a bust against the Bears. We'll beat the Bears at Lambeau, but we're going to get beat at Soldier Field. I think on the back 9 of our season, we're maybe going to get three games, but in the front 9, we're going to win one. We're just going to win one game. Now, as I say, you've got a legendary quarterback and you've been treated in the manner that you were treated. And Aaron Rodgers should have stuck to his guns when it was on the draft show 3 years ago. Aaron Rodgers might not be coming back to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers should have stuck his heels in and says, you know what? You drafted Love. Now you got Love. I'm out. And he could have said to them, I'll make my money somewhere else. Packers fans, they're saying, why did he not do that for us? Russell, I've just explained why he didn't do that for us. They weren't trading him weapons. They weren't trading to get him protected. Aaron Rodgers has done smart with the Jets. He has. That's my guy, and he will always be my guy.
And what do they have over there? You know, and what do they have over there in New York? They have young playmakers on that team. They have a good offensive line. They have a legitimate top 5 defense. Of course, you would want to take a pay cut to go and try to win a championship. I completely feel you on that, Barry. I appreciate that. And here's one thing that we do on our show right here. No matter what, that take is out there. There are Aaron Rodgers fans that are out there that are actually hurt that they traded him in the way that they treated him on the way out. And then there's another side of the anti-Aaron Rodgers fans that do what a lot of fan bases do when guys leave, and they just call it like, oh, well, he wasn't that good anyway. You know, like Viking fans are doing with Dalvin Cook, and you know, as soon as the guys leave, listen to all these Bear fans. Oh well, Montgomery was never a good running back. Now that he's with the Lions, so I understand the hypocrisy that's in there, and both sides need to be aired, honestly, because you feel a certain way. It's like the Stafford fans. You know, there is a group of Lion fans that will never forgive the organization for trading away our prince, our best quarterback ever. And Jared Goff could never measure up to that. And there's other people that are like, we got good compensation. Like everything's all right in the world. Definitely a lot more of those now, but we get to be honest and transparent on this show because being 4 fan bases, we hold each other accountable in a sense.
Yes.
So,
I'd like to think that was a slap in the face to Brian, though, as in a way of, if you had treated me better, I would have retired a Packers player. But you didn't treat me any good, and now I've took a pay cut of the Jets because this is what you could have had. Now you've got an untried and untested Love. This is your guy. Can people not see what I see? The only reason Love is playing is because he drafted them in 2020, and for the GM to have any credibility, he had to push Aaron out the door. There was no way Jordan Love was sitting on the bench for a 4th year or a 5th year. Because it would have made a mockery of Brian's decision in the first place. But here's the thing that gets me. I'm going to ask you, right? See your GM. Does your GM pick your drafts, or is it down to your head coach and your defensive coach?
Well, the GM's supposed to pick the players.
How? It should be the head coach and the defensive coach. They should know then who they want in their team, since they are the people paid to do a job. The GM should be taking care of money matters. It should be the head coach. I don't think Vince Lombardi would have Brian picking the draft. I think Vince Lombardi would have told Brian, "This is your office. This is my office. I decide who comes into this franchise, and I'll decide who leaves this franchise."
But I think where it comes from is, you want to be in the same accord with you want to have a good working relationship. You want a GM that actually understands who your head coach is and what he needs, because I wouldn't want my head coach picking my players, because he doesn't evaluate players. He coaches players. So you bring me the talented players and I will coach them. That's
where I disagree with you, Russell. That's where I think the head coach, it's his, as you say, yeah, it's his position to coach. However, if they're not my picks, then I'm not coaching. You're the head coach for a reason.
You have to agree, right? I mean, you want to be in agreement in accordance, right? Like, I'm a musician, right? So
yeah.
if I'm listening to an
you're not a musician. There's no way. I'm kidding
on. But I've been a musician for 20 plus years, right? So if I went and watched an orchestra, I know enough about music, like as a coach of music, as like the leader of all my groups. I can listen to an orchestra and I can listen to somebody playing the trombone and tell if he's playing it right. But if you ask me to pick the best trombone player out of 100 people, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I can tell you if one's good, but I wouldn't be able to tell the differences. So Dan Campbell, or whoever your coach, or Matt LaFleur, his specialty isn't finding the talented player and saying, okay, this is what separates A from B. His job is to coach said player once he gets into that spot. So head coach is out of their depth to understand even what type of player that they need, because that's what the GM specializes in.
Well, I would say then the GM should be the head coach, and there's no need for a head coach. I would say that, because I was watching Brian, his press conference the other day, media conference. It's the first one I've watched this year, and I thought, you know what? Let's have a look at his media conference. He was standing there talking as if he was a head coach, and the more I was listening, the more I says, you know what? F off, and I switched it off.
Yeah, but does that mean that he knows X's and O's though, Barry? Like, I mean, you're Gutekunst, if he was good at being a GM, right? And you think that he could be the head coach? Maybe he knows a lot about football. Do you think that he could coach the?
I'm saying that sarcastically.
Oh, okay, right, okay. I can't. Sometimes I can't tell your sarcasm over the thick accent. It's okay though.
No, that's me saying it sarcastically. If someone's talking a good game, crack on. You can take my job, crack on. That's me being sarcastic about it, because at the end of the day, I see, as a head coach, I mean, I watch a lot of soccer as well, right? And here, as a manager at soccer teams, you have what's known as talent spotters. So, in my opinion, then, bringing this to the NFL, I've always been of the opinion that it was the head coach that done the drafts. But now, because of Brian, my brain's had to relearn and go, oh, wait a minute here, but why is Brian dictating who's coming in and who's leaving? In my opinion, the GM should be the one saying, he should be saying to the head coach, right, we need to lower the cap space. I'm not going to dictate who we're leaving or who we're cutting. You tell me who we can cut. But I'm making this number up out of thin air. I'll just say, we want to cut 20 million. And I'll leave it to you guys being the head coach and the defensive coach. And if you can get back to me later on, you can tell me who we're leaving, and then we'll do it like that. However, that's not working like that. Brian being a dictator, interfering and meddling in team affairs. Like, for example, prime example, he pushed out Kumaro. Aaron Rodgers loved Kumaro. I wasn't a Kumaro fan. But at the end of the day, you've got to listen to your quarterback. You've got to be on the same page as your quarterback.
They're right there. We're going to agree a lot because communication is the number one thing on anything. And if your general manager and your whoever's picking town, whoever's doing the contracts is not on the same page as your head coach and everything, you're dead in the water anyway. I mean, there's no chance. You have no chance to compete with the best teams that are on the same page. When you look at why do I believe that the Lions are going to do well? This picture right here, it's built for the long haul. It starts with Sheila Hamp and it spreads out to she made the right hires and Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell leading the charge, and then they brought in all of the other pieces like Chris Spielman and these guys that are working in one cohesive unit. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are attached at the hip. It's almost like they have the same brain. So he is getting the guys that Dan Campbell wants, and maybe not necessarily the guys that the people from the outside want. Right. And that's what you're missing with Gutekunst is it seems like he's reacting rather than be proacting, like, oh, this is what Aaron Rodgers did to me. So we have to do this, this, and this to counteract that so we can build the team around that. And now you rip this Band-Aid off. You guys are 40 million behind the cap this year. You can't really, for a Green Bay Packer fan to expect to be good with Jordan Love is foolish. I've been a Lions fan for too long.
I don't expect to be good this season.
And and that's okay. And if they are good, then you can be pleasantly surprised. It wouldn't be the first time that they pleasantly surprised you. Remember the RELAX? That was one of those great moments for Aaron Rodgers when they started out bad.
I would be begrudgingly all right about that, but I would begrudge it.
Well, you would love to be wrong on that, but you have the right to feel your opinion. And that's one of the things we love doing on this show is I'm not going to belittle anybody. You can come in with outrageous opinions. Most of the takes on this show suck. So it's okay. We don't mind. We want you to have the platform to be able to air it out there.
These are the same fans that are hating the day. And when he's coming into the stadium in 2 or 3, maybe 4 years' time, getting his jersey retired, his number retired, his name on the stadium, his name in the street, and they're all going to be glorifying the guy. I'm glorifying the guy who I've got fucking I've got Aaron Rodgers back. I don't forget the dirty that was done to him in 2020 and all the ineptness that's been done to him, dismantling championship teams year after year. I could give you a list. Kumaro, Blake Martinez, Clinton Dix. Clinton Dix was my favourite guy other than Aaron Rodgers. You've got tricky Jeff Janis, pushed out the door. They stepped him up for the special teams into offence, done that amazing catch down at Arizona, dubbed the greatest throw in NFL history with Chris Collinsworth, and he only lasted another year or two and he was pushed out the door. Look at Mike Pettin. I like the head coach, Mike Pettin. 2 championship appearances. Right. We got Joe Barry, and we've done nothing since.
Hey,
come on! You're supposed to be keeping your championship teams and saying, right, how can we get better with the championship teams? Not pushing out the door good players. Jair Alexander. I don't think Jair Alexander's going to stay with the Packers for long.
Well,
I don't think he will. He's wanting to win stuff, and at the Packers at the moment, for the next couple of years, we're not going to be winning anything. And it's all thanks to the GM. I'm not that guy. I'm not his fan. I'll never be his fan, especially from 2020 onwards. And these fans that are hating on Aaron Rodgers, just because he's begrudging him being at the Jets and taking a pay cut, and why didn't he take a pay cut with us? I think I've just explained about we never got him weapons, we never got him protected, dismantling championship teams. And if I was Aaron Rodgers, I'd be saying, you know what? I'm owed my money. I want my money.
Yeah, and that's understandable, Barry. And I'm going to let you go on that one because I do want to give the other side their spot, and you are getting attacked in here. But that is Barry, the Packer fan from Scotland. Thank you for being on the show today, Barry. And yep, God bless the rest of your day, brother. Oh man, I have a Bill, the Packer fan on here, who's probably going to come in and give us the
What's up, fellas?
what is going on, man? Are you going to give me the other side of Barry right here? Because he kind of went off right there.
Well, see, there's a difference in Packer fans. See, you got Packer fans, you got Aaron Rodgers fans. Barry is an Aaron Rodgers fan. If Aaron Rodgers was 150 years old, he would still pick Aaron Rodgers over a rookie quarterback any day. He's an Aaron Rodgers fan. That's the difference between Packer fans and Aaron Rodgers fans.
Well,
we're here for the team.
And I understand that, Bill. I don't think that's where he was going. I think it was a little deeper.
He was dogging Brian Gutekunst because he made the moves that he made. Now, if you go look, Barry, if you pay attention to the cap and you pay attention to the draft, Brian Gutekunst rebuilt our defense from the ground up. And if you don't think he's doing a good job, I'm sorry, but he's doing a bang-up job down there in Green Bay. For the last 2 years, he rebuilt that defense. The defense is looking solid. The defensive coordinator is not. Okay, so that's on Matt LaFleur's shoulders. Now, what did Brian do in the last 2 seasons? Now he rebuilt the offense. Now we got 2 really fresh, nice tight ends. We got a nice young receiving core. And did I mention all these players are pretty cheap? Did I mention that he has everybody under $11 million a year in cap space besides David Bakhtiari? So to sit here and say Brian Gutekunst is not doing a good job is completely false. That is a false statement, and I can't agree with that.
And you are entitled to that right there. Oh. And I know that we're in this spot right here. This is a dividing thing. We know that this is a dividing thing. And I got Main Event Mike in the back right here. He's going to join. This is a good, intense conversation right here. How you doing, Main Event Mike?
I'm doing really good. Sitting here listening to this drivel pour out of Bill's mouth about how good his GM is. Are you kidding me? Come on.
So break it down for me, Mike. What did he do that you don't like? What did he do that
he reached in the first round for Quay Walker when he still would have been available in the second round? There's one.
Well, that's an opinion. That's not a fact.
He dragged what? Well, it's a fact that that Quay Walker's showing character issues and might have been a bad draft pick. That's undisputable.
Okay, so you found one bad pick. So let's go on.
I'm just getting started, my friend. What are you talking about? No. I mean, the fact that I can't pronounce his last name really hampers me from being able to comment on this further. But it was a deep tight end draft, and he took 2 tight ends. I thought that might have been questionable, but considering how deep the draft was at tight end, maybe that was a good move. This might have been the year to do it. I love Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. I thought those were great picks. I would definitely give Gouda, whatever his name is, a good grade as a GM. He's doing a good job, not a bad job. I just like busting your chops. I think he's doing a good job.
Well, he's no
Brad Holmes, and he's certainly no Quezzy, which is on each end of the spectrum there, right? He's better than Quezzy, but I don't think he's a Brad Holmes or a Howie Roseman or even a Mickey Loomis.
Good take, Mike. I like that. I'm in the spot of Gutekunst where I think that he made a mistake by not trading Rodgers last year and getting the first 3 rounds, but he did come in. I thought he was very savvy in the way that he handled the end of the Rodgers trade right there by, making the trade happen when he probably didn't have to. I mean, I made a call about the June 1st thing. It actually would have benefited them to wait. It would have benefited both sides, but I mean, Gutekunst played him. He played the I think it was the Titans. He played a Titans card on him, made him have to jump off the side. Yeah. I mean,
card.
That was good. And then for them to get an extra first round pick, I thought that was pretty savvy because he is going to play 60% of the snaps, guys. Let's be real about this. So it'll probably be a first round pick. And if it doesn't work over there in the Jets, it may be a high first round pick. So they may be in a similar situation. I do like doubling down on the tight end. I've done it in my fantasy drafts. If you get 2 of the top guys, it works out good, especially when you got a flex position. And they got 2 very different types of tight ends that were both rated really, really high. So that's interesting. I probably would have went somewhere different in those spots, but I can say the same thing about Brad Holmes. with our jaws dropping with their first 2 picks. So
Right.
I'm not going to complain too much about that.
And another thing about the Packers too is they never seem to do big off-season splash moves, right? They'll cherry pick a couple of guys and then they'll build through the draft and they develop those players. And Gutekunst is definitely following that Green Bay tradition in that way.
Well, there's a reason for that. If you go back and look in the last 10 years at our dead cap space, it's never been more than $1.5 million. And only one time it was over that, and that was due to an injury that had to be paid out. So we're not wasting cap space. We're not the franchise to do that.
And this is the worst year for you too. Like
last year was
you ripped the Band-Aid off on purpose. This is a strategy to eat that whole 40 million. Boom, get
right
it
now
out of the way, and then next year you get it all back.
Right.
So
see now that's the difference between Green Bay and Chicago, though, where a lot of these fellas don't understand is we're going to have a shit ton of money next year, okay? Because we paid out Rodgers this year, but the thing is, our team's still intact. Our team's still there. We're not plugging and playing all these different positions to try to make our team look better and be better. Our team is already intact. So
regardless,
now we're going to have all this money next year, and we might be able to make a few big splashes in free agency.
Did you hear about the cap hit since Rodgers restructured his contract in New York?
1.3 or something like that.
$106 million cap hit.
That's next year. No, that's next year. Yeah.
Next year. Yeah, next year. I mean, talk about putting all your chips in the middle of the table to win this year. Yeah. This Aaron Rodgers deal is going to hamstring them just like it hamstringed the Packers.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think Gutekunst did a great job of getting rid of Rodgers when he could, getting something out of it.
You like that?
That deserves a 5-banger for that, because that is pushing your chips in even more than Kirk Cousins did last year. I thought that they threw all that in, but if this doesn't work, they will be out having like little nooses of Aaron Rodgers in New York City. But if it does work, it could be very similar to what happened with Matt Stafford, them just going to a place and being able to win a Super Bowl there, because that team does look pretty good right now with Aaron Rodgers on that team with all that young talent.
Yeah, Mike Ritzik, you said you're pretty sure the Packers had $8 million dead in 2020. It was around $10 million, and that was under Brian Gutekunst. What I'm referring to is if you look at all our other previous GMs before that, go look at our cap space or our dead cap space. It's not very high at all. And then you go compare it to the Bears, you're going to go back in your bedroom and probably cry and go to bed. So,
well, the minute that you pay a quarterback, just because just historically they're going to eat up a certain percentage of the cap space regardless, the minute that you pay your second contract to a quarterback, you immediately have to shift the way that you are building your team. You got to start hitting on some offensive linemen and hitting them and getting other players on rookie contracts.
Right.
So, and when that wasn't happening, and there was like there's been like a 3-year weird thing with Aaron Rodgers. Same thing that happened at the end of the Favre thing, where, guy, you don't want to move on from this guy. That there is a certain percentage of your fan base, Bill, I mean, you don't want to. You remember the RELAX. That was like a cool moment for you guys, and going to championship games and stuff. That's the
thing with like people will like Barry, like they don't comprehend that people age and get old and get slower and aren't as athletic. He's thinking Aaron Rodgers from 10 years ago. This is not Aaron Rodgers from 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, he may play at a high level for the next year or two, but you got to get some type of value in return for the guy.
Right. He wasn't right for Green Bay anymore. I can agree with that as a line. It wasn't working there no more, especially when you use a first-round pick. That was Gutekunst that's my biggest issue with Gutekunst. It's like, where are your balls? Like, why don't you control the team? You're the general manager. Do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Send this guy packing. It's okay.
Yeah, he had the Jets up against the wall, and he could have got that first-round pick out of them. I firmly believe that. What do you think about that, Bill? You think they could have got that first-rounder for him?
It's a possibility, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm pretty happy with what we got. I'm pretty happy with it. You know what I mean? Brian did a pretty good job, and I hate to see a lot of people bash him for it, but some people don't like to see Rodgers go, and that's the old mentality of some of these Packer fans. Like, you got to wake up. It's a new era now. You know what I'm saying?
It's
been 15 years.
I want to disagree. I think that there was no chance that they were getting that first round pick, because if you're going for a Super Bowl and you're bringing Rodgers in, you got like a 2-year window. I want that first round pick. And you know what? It backfired on them because they swapped spots from 13 to 15. And guess what happened? The last offensive lineman came off the board and they got screwed anyway. But they wanted that pick. There was no way they were giving up that pick, Mike.
Yeah.
And as we talk about Aaron Rodgers and what the Jets might do, yeah, they look good. But if there's one area of that team that's suspect, it's the offensive line. And playing in that division.
That puts a smile on my face.
That division is brutal. I've already predicted they finish third in the division and miss the playoffs.
I just don't understand the whole aspect of this guy, complaining for the last, few years. Oh, get me this, get me that. And then he goes to the Jets and brings everybody, all the old washed up players with him.
Right.
All the players that we actually went and got him. Like that's the only part of this trade that I just can't comprehend. Like,
we actually figured it out that Randall Cobb is actually Aaron Rodgers' emotional support animal.
Now that's starting to make sense.
He puts him in the front of the basket when he goes to the supermarket. He puts him in the front of the basket when he goes to the supermarket, pushes Randall Cobb around.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand that. You know what I mean? You complained about getting all these players. We get all these players, and you're still complaining you want more. But then you go to a new team and you take all these old players with you.
Yeah, right. You know what? I endorsed this team as a Super Bowl team when they got Rodgers. And what did they do after I endorsed them? And I do want to retract that Super Bowl pick because of this. You go. And you had Aaron Rodgers, you had 2 young wide receivers in Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims that actually get to work with a quarterback that's somewhat accurate. Right. I mean, more than Zach Wilson. And what do? You trade them for nothing and bring in Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard. Like, oh my gosh.
It's like the main event trying to bring Darcy back on.
You like that?
Oh man, yeah, it just doesn't work, Even though I don't mind now, it's just once you've been done dirty, you're like, you don't want to be done dirty. You're not gonna let you in the door again.
Doesn't Aaron Rodgers look grizzled too? Doesn't he look old and grizzled? I mean,
I heard.
Dude, when I was 39 years old, I didn't look that bad.
Yeah, but see, check this out. I heard behind the scenes that the Jets were photoshopping photos of him they were passing around. I don't know to the length of how truth that is, but I seen that on numerous sites yesterday. I was reading, like, if they're going to that extent to try to prove to the fans that he's going to be around for years, like, you're going nuts, buddy.
Wow.
$100 million.
Yeah.
In guaranteed money for next year on the cap. Like, that is crazy, man.
Is it all going on the cap? It is all going on the cap.
Oh yeah, you get to eat that. You get to eat all that cap. Now that doesn't really matter as long as he plays, right? But it's like, damn,
yeah, that's a lot of money to come off your cap, buddy. 1 year.
Well, it's like
Aaron Rodgers. He's a team player, they say.
Yeah, but it's like, well, that's pretty cool that he did what he did, though. I mean, for him going in for 37 million or whatever that is, that's way.
Yeah, but see, that is pretty cool. But when you look at it, like, yeah, I'm gonna take 1.3 this year, but you suckers are paying me 100 next year.
Give it all. Spread it on.
Sure. So just to be clear, this year, $40 million, the Green Bay Packers are taking a hit for him.
Yep.
Next year, $100 million, the Jets are taking a hit for him. But he comes out smiling, looking like a good guy. Yeah, I'm only going to play for $1.1 million this year.
Yeah, right. I'm a team player, guys.
Wow. Wow.
Yep, that's your quarterback now. It's like, but the thing is Aaron wanted it. He wanted, like, you don't want to work with like really fast young wide receivers that just need a quarterback. No, I want to work with Cobb and Alan Lazard. Oh, okay.
Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. Good luck.
Okay. Well, at least they kept Wilson there. I mean,
he had a really good catch out the end zone the other day too. And
yeah,
I saw that.
I saw that. Looked great.
Nice.
Yeah, Wilson might be a top 5 wide receiver.
Now,
So at least
remember, that's no contact though, so it's different when
Right.
there's.
well, he did win Offensive Rookie of the Year too. I mean, that's that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, I'm not knocking him, but I'm just saying that catch would have been a lot harder when people were.
But could you imagine, especially what if Denzel Mims does well in Detroit? How dumb are you going to feel in New York if this guy starts balling out here just because he had Zach Wilson throwing to him and now he's got an accurate quarterback to throw to him? Yeah. It's like, I mean, we can make fun of Jared Goff all day about him being goofy and all this, but one thing you can't deny, he's been an accurate quarterback his entire career, even on his bad years. So it's like, he's going to come here and be with the absolute best quarterback that he's ever played with. And then you guys are just trading off your guys for like a 7th round pick. Yeah. You traded a guy you drafted in 2020. It's not like, oh my gosh, New York Jets.
There's something we don't know about him is what's going on. I mean, he has 0 touchdowns in 2 seasons. And I mean, yeah, you say that he had bad quarterback play, but still, I mean, come on, 0 touchdowns in 2 seasons, dude. That's kind of suspect, you know what I mean?
No, right. Well, even Darnell Mooney got a touchdown.
Yeah, I guess we can't complain about that. He had a little bit of the bad quarterback play.
I mean, I don't know how much play time he got and stuff. Maybe he didn't get a lot of play time.
He was injured for one of the seasons, almost. He's missed like a full season of stuff. Right. And but he's went through like 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You'd think he'd at least show some type of flash between.
Well, he did. He did. He got both of his touchdowns with the same guy, I thought.
So how many touchdowns has he got on his career?
I don't even know.
Denzel Mims has 0 touchdowns in his career.
Wow.
Yeah.
0.
So he was a 2nd round pick. He's got like crazy athletic.
Well, I mean, at least you guys didn't give up a bunch for him. You gave up a bag of hot Cheetos. You know what I mean?
Right.
If he makes the team.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to make the team in order for it to be worth something. But I don't know. You take young guys like that. I mean, you can't keep him on your team as depth. It wasn't costing you nothing. It wasn't a money thing. Right. They just didn't want to pay him next year.
No, it's a roster spot is why, because Aaron Rodgers needed room for his cronies. And we all know that. Everyone knows that.
So is that the guy being bad, or is that the Jets GM panicking at every turn in this whole thing?
It's them catering to Aaron Rodgers, 100%. The only reason Nathaniel Hackett got a job was because they knew Aaron Rodgers was coming.
Right.
So it's like, what they didn't do.
10 receivers.
What they didn't do everything that you wanted. We'll do everything that you want. We'll bring in Cobb. We'll trade away our whole wide receiver. The Elijah Moore one was worse, Bill.
That's what I don't get. Like Barry's sitting here knocking our GM. Like our GM stood up to Rodgers and told him to kick fucking rocks. You know what I mean? You ain't running the show here. I'm running the show here, and that's what I want my GM to do. You know what I mean?
You mean he ain't running the show anymore?
Yeah, he ain't running the show anymore. Exactly. No, that's my whole point. That's why I can't sit here and listen to these Packer fans. I'm not even going to say Packer fans. I'm going to say Rodgers fans. You know what I'm saying? Bash Bryant. He's doing a bang up job, dude. You know, they'll see the production in a year or two, and then they'll all be, oh yeah, Jordan Love's the best. Oh, he's great.
I've been saying it the whole time, pal. Yeah. I've been saying it all along.
Barry will be like, I got my new Love jersey today, guys.
We know a whole bunch of guys that are like that. They love to come in and have every opinion, and that way, when the real opinion comes out, they get to come on and be like, look, I've been saying that all along.
Barry is a diehard Packer fan, but he's just hung up on Aaron Rodgers for some reason, man. I don't understand it.
I mean, he did a pretty good job at explaining it. I thought that's what I say on this show is like, we want you to be able to have that opinion out there. And I know there are people that are out there. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers? We really want to know what you think.
Right.
So if you are a Packer fan, you're following Bill, a Packer fan already, and you agree with him, I want you to put that in the comments. If you disagree with him and you agree with Scotland, our Scotland Green Bay Packer fan, and that they made a mistake by getting rid of Rodgers, put that in the comment as well.
I mean, Barry was talking about, he brought up, for Christ's sake, Blake Martinez. Do you even know why we didn't keep Blake Martinez? Because we had to pay your boy Aaron Rodgers. That's why. We couldn't afford everybody. You know what I mean? That I mean, it blows my mind sometimes, man. You know.
But is that him making the mistake, or is that just the GM not understanding the next level? Because a lot of GMs can come in and take a roster, rip it down to the studs, put in a bunch of different talent, and get everybody hyped up. But what do you do when you start having success where there's only a couple of roster spots that you're really needing to fill, and you have to make tough decisions like get rid of your Hall of Fame quarterback? He hasn't proven that he can do that on time yet.
Right.
I mean, you wanted that last year. Wouldn't you love to have 3 first-round picks the next 3 years?
Yeah, but see, what you're not thinking is what Brian is dealing with. You got people like Barry, you got people like me on both sides of them. Trade them, keep them, trade them, keep them. You know what I mean? So he's trying to
so you got to be
have that fine line in between. You know what I mean?
But you have to be true at that point with who you are and make the decision. That's what you're paid to do.
Like, I see why he didn't trade Rodgers to Denver last season, because he just got Watson and Dobbs. He wanted to see if he can make a quick run for it. You know what I mean? And obviously that didn't work out. Rodgers wasn't all in, and that's what happened.
No, that's
so he made a bet and lost.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes. Yep.
So now
but if he never made that bet, if he never tried that, that would have been haunting Packer fans for years. What would it have been with Watson and Dobbs? You know what I mean? You had to at least try it for 1 year at least.
Especially when you look at the rookie year that Christian Watson had, Packer fans would always be looking in the rear view going, boy, if we'd just kept Rodgers one more year.
So Brian was pretty much saving face at that point. Now, he had a hell of a package deal from Denver, though. You know what I mean? And then we chose Durant for another year, so they grabbed Russell Wilson, and we all know how that ended up. You know what I mean?
Right. And you got to admit, like I said, I'm a fan of how he handled it afterwards. You know, I thought he made a mistake by not doing it in the first place, but yeah, you're right. If he's just betting, okay, I put my chips in. Oh, I lost. Well, he had a backup plan. You do have a bunch of young talent. So if there's anybody that's out there, I will argue.
And he still has a backup
plan.
And he still has a backup plan if Jordan Love ends up flopping. We have 2 first-round picks next year.
The Green Bay Packers do have a roster of a bunch of people that know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, the people that are out there that think that just because Aaron Rodgers is gone, they took half their defense and half their depth and everything. He was the only player that went out. Okay.
Yeah. Cobb was already expected not to return. Tiny was expected not to return. You know, a lot of these players were expected not to return.
Jags. Those are just Jags to me.
Aaron Rodgers saved their career by bringing them to New York. You know what I mean? That's
when I say Jag, I say just a guy. Those guys are just guys. You know, you can get a Robert Tonyan anywhere. He's a solid tight end. They're everywhere. Right. You could have had Robert Tonyan. You could have kept him and not drafted. But you guys bet on 2 rookie tight ends over.
We want young, fresh, cheap talent.
That's rookie contracts. That's it. And now you look at the Bears. They've got Cole Kmet and Robert Tonyan, $40 million.
Yep.
Now you had that $100 million as a Bear fan. Now let's tread on these Bear fans right here.
Oh, this is my subject right here, man.
Hey, Bear fan. Hey, Bear fan, you had $100 million. How are you feeling about the way that they spent all that money?
Well, they had $100 million and talked all that smack during the offseason. Woody, Mike, Ken, you know, all those people over there. Oh, we got over $100 million. We're going to be splurging. When does the splurge start? Because you didn't splurge on DJ Moore. You traded for him.
No, that's
where's all these big splurges in free agency you were talking about?
They made moves.
Yeah, you grabbed 2 linebackers. So
you brought guys in that are make your team better. You are correct, but where it matters, where you got to win the fight, you think any of those punks are going to come in and do anything to Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, pack a lunch?
Well, I told them, man. Well, they were saying we got over $100 million. Yeah, that's not a good thing. You have 37 roster spots to fill now. There's no big splurge coming. There's no big splurge coming, guys. You know what I mean? Take the seatbelt off. You're not going for a ride. You know what I mean?
Because you got to win a fight. Yeah. Especially with these guys. Like, if you want, the Green Bay Packers have a defensive line, okay? So that's a defensive line that I actually think that could throw blows with my offensive line. I don't think you're going to win, but at least you guys can stand toe-to-toe. None of the other 2 teams, Vikings, you don't have a prayer against my offensive line. Bears, you don't have a prayer against my offense. We're going to run the ball down your throat. You think you're getting to Jared Goff? Don't worry about Goff. Don't worry about Goff. Worry about Frank Ragnow.
Yeah, the beauty of it is we're going to go into Soldier Field and run David Montgomery down their throat. That's going to be the best. That's going to be the cherry on top.
I just love this whole scenario for week 1 that they just have it in the bag. They're beating Green Bay, which, mind you, they haven't done it in 3 years. But, like they say, oh, well, he's going to have to gel with the team. You don't think Fields is going to have to gel with his new team? He's just going to wake up and be good to go week 1? Come on. It goes on both sides of the ball, guys. You know what I mean?
No doubt. No doubt. Week 1, Packers versus Bears is a we've touched on it as a whole topic before, Russ, haven't we? What a big game that is. Coming out of the chute to start the season, one of those teams is going to be 1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't, and I'm not going to sit here and be a homer and say we're winning for sure week 1. It's 50-50 either way. I just think it's funny. These Bear fans really think they got it in the bag week 1. They really truthfully believe it too, man. That's what's wild.
Yeah.
But I will remind all the Bear fans that are out there that Aaron Rodgers doesn't play defense. And what has Justin Fields done against that defense?
And it's
nothing.
The same defense as the last few years.
Well, how big of a loss is Adrian Amos?
It depends if Eric Stokes comes back right away or not. That's what's going to determine that. If Eric Stokes starts week 1, we'll be fine. If he don't start,
Eric Stokes isn't an elite player.
No, but he's a first-round draft pick that hasn't had a chance to establish himself yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
He needs
one good year, one bad year. Yeah. I mean,
the bad year is the year that he got banged up. He didn't really play the whole year. So.
Right. So we got another availability guy.
I was actually
we got a couple guys like that too. Like we got Romeo Okwara and Charles Harris. These are guys that you might say but they were really, really good 2 years ago before they got injured. And now they're going to be on our team as depth. So let's see for the Bears, Jeremy, I think it's going to be a close. Jeremy Ballreich says that he thinks it's going to be a close game. Let's throw that one out there. I know that we've done this one a lot, but if you're out there, who do you got? Chicago versus Green Bay week 1. I want to know what your thoughts. Even throw a score in there. And
I can tell you that Green Bay is favored by 2.5 on the road.
Woody got us by 3. Yeah, Woody, I wasn't referring to you. I was referring to Ken Dobb, bro.
Chad says Chad says WTF, what do you think about the Vikings? Hawkinson, 15 million easy. Jefferson, 25 million easy. 40 million minimum gone for the 2 players and have that total cap hell. Yeah, they're in it right now. Yeah. The Flames are up.
As he said, 25 million easy for Justin Jefferson. I think that's definitely going to be north of 30 million by the time it happens. And that's a great point. I'd rather have Hawkinson and JJ than Robert Tonyan and Cole Kmet for the same $40 million.
That's crazy when you put it like that. That is come on, Bear fans. Are you going to come out? Is there a Bear fan? You know what? I'm going to throw the link into the comments right here, just because.
And one thing that's not
defend this.
One thing that's not been touched on also is how the linebacker position has been devalued on defenses, just like the running back position has been devalued on offense. A lot of these defensive schemes, the linebackers are dropping or they're pressuring. That same Mike Singletary, Brian Urlacher type of Bears linebacker mold just doesn't fly as much in today's NFL. So putting all that money on 2 linebackers also, they're great players. And like Brad Holmes says, we draft players, not positions. I get it. But that's a lot of money to invest in that position in today's NFL. I think that might also be a misstep on the Bears' part because we're gonna be getting 3 yards before we ever get to TJ Edwards.
Well, you gotta overpay when you're in Chicago, when you're in a rebuild. Any team is, I'm not just saying, I shouldn't just say Chicago. Any team rebuilding like that is going to have to overpay to bring talent because they know that there's not a ring in sight yet. You know what I mean? Like they're a few years out. So you're expected to overpay. So I kind of understand why the Bears did what they did. Maybe next year they might get cut a break on free agency because they're more there. But I don't know. I mean, they may only be a 5-win team this year,
But just think about that. They used what they got 30 million on linebackers, 30 million on tight ends. Like those are 2 positions that aren't, key positions that over almost half of your salary cap on players that are rotational. I mean,
That's why I'm
don't
glad
think it's
I
very
got
smart.
the GM I got. Everybody can knock him now, but I'll be the last man standing and laughing.
So we're going to throw Chad up here into the main box right here because we want to know what you think about this, and hopefully not your screen. There we go. I want to see that face.
How you doing,
There we
Chad?
go. How you doing, Chad?
Hey, Bill, my favorite Packer fan. You
What's up,
rock,
buddy?
dude. You're cool.
Right.
I don't give a shit what anybody says about you. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for you.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, Chad.
Are you drunk, Chad?
Actually,
Except-
no. I've been sober for days, man. I've been in rehab.
Okay.
I like-
For days.
For days.
yeah, no, hey, I can be honest, man. And I'm fighting it. It's a demon. I'm fighting it. But no, I'm sober. And I want to say hi to Russell. Russell's a good guy. He runs a good show. And main event, Mike, you bring the best sarcasm there is out there besides that.
Thanks, Chad. I'll be
Hey,
Like that.
I'll
I'll
give
be
you
nice
5
to
on
you
that.
for that.
Hey, off subject real quick. Mike, I seen your concert with the Trailer Park Love Song. I
Yeah.
fucking loved it, bro.
Did you love it, bro?
Dude, do you have that like on YouTube or something?
No, I don't have that, but you can
need
buy
to
the
put that on
CD, bro.
YouTube.
You
Yeah.
can buy the CD, Bill.
Oh, okay. Well, send me the link. I'll check it out.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to.
Challenger have a CD player?
No, it don't. No.
Yeah, okay. So they make good coasters.
No, but that's good rock and roll right there. What I'm going to do
dude, I
is
seen that the other day, and I laughed, dude. That was actually pretty dope, dude. I got to get.
Sweet. Thank you, man. Thank you.
I am going to go ahead and find this, and I'm going to throw the link to the YouTube that has the entire album for free because Mike's cool like that. He doesn't even charge people to
What a guy,
have the
what a
entire
Go check
CD.
it out. It's called the Trailer Park Love Song. And you'll thank me later. It's awesome.
Post it in main event on Facebook.
I'm about ready to throw this in there right now. You guys talk, Mike. Take over for a minute, and I'm going to find this and put it in the comments.
Right on. So Chad, what do you think about Chicago Green Bay Week 1?
Green Bay all day.
Okay.
I don't think
Should you give up? You take Green Bay and give up the 2.5 points?
Absolutely. I don't think Chicago's ready. Defensively, they're not ready. They don't know the storm that's coming to
I
hit
agree.
them. Hey, we don't know about Love. I do believe Love is going to make improvements through the year. It's inevitable. They wouldn't have kept him for this long. But what are they going to do with that two-headed running back monster? I mean, I just do not see Chicago winning that game.
That's the only reason why I give us the edge. I mean, we may be equal on quarterback. No one knows about Jordan Love. No one knows about, well, we kind of know about Justin Fields, but you cannot ignore Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. Even if Jordan Love looks like crap that game, we could just run the ball down their throat all day. They don't have much of a defense to stop the run. You know what I mean? And then if they start stacking the box, then you let Jordan Love start throwing a little bit.
Yeah, and who are you going to double team? You have one player on that team to double team, DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
that's not. You don't even have to put your best coverage guys on DJ Moore.
And when you've got a guy like Jair Alexander, you don't need to double him anyway.
Yeah.
DJ Moore's not an elite receiver. He's not a top 5, not even a top 10 receiver in this
He's
league.
a top
He's a good
15, Mike.
Okay, I'll give him top 15, and he's a good receiver. He's a great jump ball receiver, but he's certainly not putting fear in any team coming in.
Right.
Who's the Bears' #1 receiver, Mike?
Well, DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I'm not arguing with you, Chad. You gave me a compliment. I'm being nice now.
Yeah, but let me ask you this though. Mike. If he was on any other team, would he be a #1?
About 15 teams. Sorry, Mike.
I agree with that, Chad. Maybe half the league, he might be a #1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Jeremy
what happens
Ballrick-
when you're rated half the, if you're rated as the 15th best receiver in the league, then that stands to reason that, you'd be the best receiver on half of the teams.
So Jeremy Ballrick says it took Fields over 27 games to pass for 4,000.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, but how many did it take him to run for 4,000?
2 seasons, he's got 5 wins. I don't really have much faith in the guy. I'm not saying he's a very great athlete, but he's not a great quarterback.
Agreed, and the numbers bear that out. You can say whatever you want if you're a Bears fan about not having an offensive line, not having any weapons. Joe Burrow same situation. No offensive line. They didn't draft Jamar Chase until the following year. His rookie year, in his first 2 years, he struggled. And then what happens? Takes his team to a Super Bowl. Still throws for over 4,000 yards. It's still a stud. And still everybody, I mean, Stevie Wonder could see that this kid's going to be a great quarterback. You just don't see it with Justin Fields.
Okay, now remember that you just said that, because before that draft with Burrows, Tua, and Love, they were saying Jordan Love had the highest ceiling out of all of them. And then as soon as Green Bay drafted him, all of a sudden, oh, he needs to sit for a year. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. That's when all the bullshit came out. You know what I mean?
And maybe that higher ceiling comes because of his running ability and his athletic ability.
Yeah.
Exactly, Mike. Exactly.
Yeah. And I don't remember. I mean, there may have been a couple outlets that said that, but Jordan Love was also touted as a second-round pick too, with those other quarterbacks going in front of him. So, I mean, a lot of people could look at it like a reach when it was, and you actually traded up to do it. But
there's also a reason for that, though, Russell. The reason is that was the COVID year, and no one got to see these players play. Now, see, when Matt LaFleur got hired for Green Bay, before he even met Aaron Rodgers, he reached out to Jordan Love's coach. So the Packers were already eyeballing Jordan Love from day one. So when COVID hit and all these other teams didn't have a chance to work him out and see him play in person, they all, stayed away. Where Green Bay has already seen him play. They've already sent, whatever you call it, the staff members out there to watch him and stuff. So they already knew.
We know we can't trust the mock drafters already, Bill. Like if we go on that,
that's why he fell so low in the draft, though, was because no one really got to see him perform anything. And in his last year in college, a lot of people knock him for, but they're not telling you the behind the scenes. His last year in college, he lost all his receivers and everything. Everybody graduated. He had a whole brand new coaching staff, all new offense. So he had to learn that and pick up the goal as that year went on.
Nobody fucking watches Utah State anyway.
I mean, I don't even watch college.
The only one who watches Utah State.
So we're gonna find out. All of this happened, and here it led us right to this year, and you're gonna see what he's got.
Excited, man. I'm more excited this year than any other year, to be truthful with you.
Now hold on, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, because you just said a few minutes ago, the Packers got a backup plan. We got 2 first-round picks next year.
Yes.
So what will it take? What will it take for Jordan Love to stay? I mean, Aaron Rodgers only won 6 games his first year.
I mean, I don't think it's really about winning games. I think it's more or less about his performance.
Okay.
Winning games is more of a team effort. You know what I mean? Where a quarterback, we're going to be looking at his performance. We're going to be looking at his throws, how's his motions, stuff like that, his interception to touchdown ratio. There's all different things that's going to come into play in that. It's not just going to be determined off of wins for sure, though.
How's he moving the pocket? What does he do under pressure?
Now, there's a lot of things I see he does that's very characteristic to Aaron Rodgers. Like, he'll break out of the pocket and throw in the air with both feet off the ground and throw a nice 20-yard pass right on the money. So if I want to see, that's the type of stuff that I look for. See, a lot of people don't look for that. They're just, he threw a pick. Well, why don't you look at the 10 throws before that? He is a lot of people don't consider him a rookie, but to me, he's a rookie. This is his first year starting. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. He is a rookie.
Yeah, right, exactly. So there's going to be, some bad play involved this year for sure, but we're gonna be watching him pretty close, and we'll know by the end of the year. And if he's not that guy, then we got 2 first-round picks to move around in the first-round draft with. You know what I mean?
And that's why that's why I respect Gutekunst, because he put him in a win-win situation. Because even if you lose, then you get another crack at it. You'll have a full salary cap next year. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Now the Bears did the same thing, though. They got 2 first-round picks next year too. If Justin Fields don't look like he's that guy, they're going to do the same thing.
Poles is a pretty good GM, it looks like, but we don't know who's coaching that team. I mean, who's going to coach these guys? Do you even have a head coach, Chicago Bear fans? Because nobody knows who he is outside of Chicago. Eberflus, no one's going, oh my gosh, Eberflus, gosh, the X's and O's, like you don't hear anybody say that. I mean, Poles is the guy at the front of the podium all the time. He doesn't coach a team,
right?
What is he going to do with these guys? Jeremy, you got a couple ones in here. Lamar Jackson is the Wish version of Michael Vick with less durability.
I hate that take. You can't undermine what Lamar Jackson has done in this league.
Well, I think at first he was saying that it was he's the wish version of Lamar Jackson, which is Justin Fields is the wish version of Lamar Jackson. But he says Lamar Jackson is the wish version of Michael Vick. And what they want to see is proper mechanics to show that he moves under pressure. That's the analysts that we know. Jeremy to be. By week 8, you will know what you have in love. That's
agreed.
Absolutely, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's a good
Absolutely.
take. As the year goes on, they want to see progression, right? They want to see him getting better and all of that. So, I mean, they did a great thing. I think Gutekunst made a real smart move by signing Love now to a split contract, which gives him that flexibility where he's not going to be in the position where Ryan Poles is going to be next year, where you're going to have to make a decision on the 5th-year option. And now you've bought yourself a little bit more time for your quarterback to mature.
Right.
And in reality, did Love just do this and agree to it on his own because he wants to prove a point and maybe I'll take less this year to show you what the hell I can do and then get the big extension. And another thing we're leaving out. I mean, is there anybody in here that doesn't think that the Packers are either going to take first or second this year? Is there anybody that thinks
I think the Lions have? I think the Lions have the edge, but it's very possible for anybody really to take it this year. Everybody but the Minnesota Vikings, of course, because their defense is atrocious.
And
well,
the
Chad, I think it's the Lions, and then it's a 3-legged race for second place. And I'm not going to back off of that because of history or anything like that. We have the best team in the North right now, and nobody can really dispute that.
Yeah, but Russell, you've had the best. You've had the best team on paper before, and
not like this. It's never been like this. I'm going on record to say that. Like, I haven't seen it since I've been watching in the Barry.
I hope this don't bite you in the butt week 17.
It wouldn't be the first time because I know some people have went out on limbs. I went out on a limb in 2014. I thought that was a pretty good team offensively, defensively. They brought in, Golden Tate and Reggie Bush. That defense was real good. Stafford. We were feeling good. Feeling good, but it fell short.
Put us in cap hell. All overpaid free agents put us in total cap hell. Destroyed us for 5 years. But back to you, Russell. The Bear fans better hope that Justin Fields has 3 legs because that's the only way they're going to do anything.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Legs. Hold on. Back up. Justin Fields has 3 legs.
Yeah.
Well, Russell said that.
Yeah, Russell, you said that, man.
Don't come at me, Mike. It was Russell.
I didn't say he had 3 legs.
You're not even in the shower again, Chad?
I don't think I said he had 3 legs. You're gonna have to put that in the more
three-legged horse, Russell.
Look like a baby's arm holding an apple.
No, I said that the NFC North is a 3-legged race to see who gets second place. Is what I said. The Lions are going to win the division. I don't think that there is a close second to that. I think they will demolish the division, and then there will be a 3-legged race for second.
Jeremy's
3-legged horse. Jeremy's even calling you out, Russell. Look, it's right
Russell, you said it, sir.
and if I was mistaken, believe me, Jeremy would tell me I was wrong.
Okay. Yeah, well, I will go back there and I'll listen to that, and I know that I didn't say that. And
don't bother us. Don't bother.
You said 3-legged race.
A 3-legged race doesn't mean that Justin Fields has 3 legs.
Yeah.
Well,
and it wouldn't be the first time that Jeremy was given misinformation on this show either. No. Lions, Bears, Vikings, Packers. You see, Lions are at the front of these.
I agree with that. I give the Lions the edge this year, but I'm not saying they're going to pull it through. I mean, you guys have looked really good on paper many, many, many times in the last decade or so. So we got to see it. Yeah.
That's
all right.
What was
you must have been talking to Melvin or something.
I don't know what year Stafford was traded, but the year before that, he did pretty well, if I'm not mistaken. And you guys had a pretty good, solid team on there.
Well, what happened is when Patricia came after our 9-7 season where we backed into the playoffs. I mean, everybody knew the writing on the wall by week 3 when Patricia was there, and it was trash the entire time that he was there. Never won anything. I don't even think we won more than 6 games under Patricia, other than that first year, was it?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
only follow winners. You know what I mean? I don't really.
Right.
I try to forget those days.
Right.
Russ.
There you go, Chad. There you go.
It's been so long since there's been any kind of winning. It's crazy. And I'm not going to tout a huge, like, us going 9-8 last year and missing the playoffs. I mean, they got to play a full season for, especially our rivals. Bill's not going to believe in this team until they go to the playoffs and win a game at least.
I probably still won't believe it to be true.
And then you'd be like, it's about time. Oh my gosh!
Do you want a cookie, Russell? Do you want a cookie, buddy?
Bill says I only follow winners.
I'll call it today, man. There is no team from the NFC South making a wild card. That wild card is going to go to the NFC North. And I'm telling you right now, the Packers are the second best team in the North. And they could beat us too. I mean, the Vikings are in the cellar, and I hate it for Jamez because I like him. He's a nice guy.
A little bit of home race.
They're done for years. The Bears are up and coming. Wait 2 years for the Bears. The Bears are going to be the ones we have to fight with. But right now,
I don't know. They just paid $15 million to a tight end. That isn't even in the top 5. Maybe you could call him a top 5 tight end. Arguably, he'd be a top 5 tight end, maybe. If you want,
they're still going to have $100 million. They're still going to have 100.
No, they have no money left. That was it.
Yeah, they're done.
The salary cap is what, 70? What is it?
Not anymore. That's what happens when you spend your money, Chad. It's gone.
I'll go pull it out. Let me go look.
The salary cap is $282 million.
Okay, we are anticipated for 90 to 94 million next year salary cap. Okay, who do we have to pay? We don't have to pay him early, but I want to pay St. Brown early. I want to pay Penei Sewell early. Okay, who else do we have to pay?
No, you don't.
Jared
Why would
Goff.
you want to? Let me ask you something, Chad. I'm glad you're not running our team. Why would you want to pay these guys early when you have a GM that is paying these guys on time? Exactly. Every single guy perfectly executed incrementally.
That's called fluidity in the salary cap.
You asked the question because the number keeps going up every year. Their value of the position goes up every year. The kickers are starting to pass. They're really not passing the running backs. Just people carry 5 running backs and some make $1 million a year.
So do you not trust your GM, Brad Holmes, to make the right deal? Then why would you want him to sign these guys early?
Why would I not? I don't want to risk. I want to get them at a lower rate.
Well, we got to fire Brad Holmes to get
Jeremy.
Let me explain it for Chad.
We wait till their final year of their contract and re-sign them. Now it's even more.
Well, what Chad's trying to say is it's kind of like the Jordan Love scenario. If he comes out, if these players come out and ball out, then you got to pay him more. If you sign him now, you can get him a little cheaper.
Okay.
Sure, but then you're going to mess up the contracts at the fluidity 2 years down the road when you need to sign one of your other guys.
There is no 5th-year option on a 4th-round draft pick.
So at the end of the season,
I want Amon signed, and I want to get him. If we wait till the last year, and he stays healthy all year, he's going to get offers. I want him signed, and I want him signed now.
Actually, it's illegal to give offers before he's a free agent.
Yeah.
So they can't do anything.
But they're going to after he becomes a free agent.
He's not going to become a free agent, Chad. I'm telling you right now, he will not become a free agent. They will re-sign him after the end of this year. They will sign him at the end of this year. They will probably sign Penei Sewell they will get him to the 5th year. They will get him on his 5th year option. So they'll get the final year of his rookie contract. And then during that year, while he's playing on his 5th year option, they will restructure that contract for down the road. Our GM is putting on a contract clinic right now on every contract that he's done so far. I can't even find a mistake in where he's like overpaid somebody.
Oh, I'll check it out for you. I'm sure I'll.
Let's just call him the maestro, okay?
Call him the
Because he is
maestro. Bill, do that check for
Okay.
me.
But
All right,
here's
I
the
will after
thing.
this show, believe me, I will.
You tried to like say I was being dumb by saying this upcoming year, I want to get St. Brown signed. I want to get Penny. Why is that dumb? Why is it
It's
dumb?
not dumb. It's not dumb. You said sign them early. You said sign them early was your words. I don't think they should sign them early. I think it's dumb to sign them early.
You sign St. Brown next year.
Yeah, you have a whole year.
The year after that.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you do that? Sign Jonah Jackson this year.
The views and opinions expressed by Chad on this program are not indicative of the producers. And
this guy's funny. So.
I'm sorry if I wasn't sober.
Don't be sorry. This is an argumentative show. I am messing with you because I'm giving you the other side of the argument. I don't want you to think that I'm like just killing you. I'm showing the other side of it.
Oh no, Russell! I watch you kill everybody. I know it's not just me.
Yeah. So, but here's Detroit fan man right here. But do we re-sign Jonah? Yeah, and that's where I really wanted to get with you, Chad. Is
didn't we just give him an extra year?
No. Jonah Jackson was drafted in the, I think, like third round. Like that was one of the Bob Quinn hangovers right here, and this is the final year of his contract. They either are going to want to get this deal done by the end of the year, to solidify that offensive line, or they let him go out into free agency because we've actually drafted well.
Are we sure about that? I think Chad might be right. Didn't we just re-sign Jonah Jackson?
Yes, we gave him a 1-year extension. I'm almost positive.
Well, let me go check that. Yeah, I will. Yeah,
I got to jump off, Russ. Can I plug the show?
Absolutely. Would you please do that?
It is the NFC North Open Mic Night every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are talking all 4 fan bases. We do some football analysis, but we also do some trash talk. So bring your thick skin, leave your feelings at the door. NFC North Open Mic. Come on, be part of the conversation. Join our groups. Get ripped to shreds. We enjoy it, and we love you. NFC North Open Mic, Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Come get some.
Right on. That is Main Event Mike, and that is my illustrious host. Peace and love, brother.
See you, Mike, bro.
I'm looking on here. I'm not seeing anything that says that he had a contract extension. It's saying that they need to think about it and contract extension prediction. Dan Miller sits down with Lions guard. Talks
like
about his contract.
I'm almost positive.
Oh no, okay, yeah, we must be talking. We're talking about a. Oh, I know you're talking about Justin Jack. You're talking about the running back. Okay, Justin Jackson. They did re-sign. That's our a depth running back that we had. Did pretty well last year. Jonah Jackson's a left guard. He'll probably, if he's going to get an extension, he'll probably get $12-13 million a year because he went to the Pro Bowl. So he's a really good, solid dude, man. I would think that he's next on the chopping block when it comes to contracts. He's the next one up. Then Amon-Ra, then Penei Sewell, then Aiden Hutchinson. You're going to get into a lot of these, these guys that we drafted in 2021 next year. Jonah Jackson was 19, I think he was drafted, or 19 or 20.
That question there, Russell. And my answer is, if he's healthy, yes, we resign him. If not, he goes.
Yeah. Is this the one that you're talking about?
No, the one. Do we resign Jonah Jackson?
Yeah. So
yeah, if he's healthy, yes. If not, he's gone.
Okay, so this was the follow-up comment to that. He says, I understood this to be the final year of Jonah's rookie deal. What would the extension look like? Rumors say 4 years, $75 million. Feels too steep. Well, here's the thing next year.
Never.
What's that? Go ahead.
They would never do that. No. Come on. Brad Holmes is too smart. He would not do that. He'd give him a 2 or 3 year deal. He is not giving him a 4-year deal.
Yeah, I don't think that he would do. I agree with Chad on that, where he says that it's not going to be a 4-year deal. I don't think that they would extend it by any more than 3 years when it came down to it. And I don't think that he's getting 15 plus. I think Holmes is going to put him as part of a franchise, right? Like, here, are you out?
10, 11, 10, 11, maybe.
Yeah, 10, 11.
Yeah.
I could subscribe to that, but I'm down with whatever Brad Holmes wants to do. I mean, if you want to keep anything together when it comes to a team, you want to keep your offensive line together, right?
And defensive line.
Yep. I like this call right here. 4 years and $48 million to $52 million. I like that. That sounds like a better type of contract. That's a good call there with Jeremy.
12 million a year with incentives. It sounds great to me.
Yep. And but don't be surprised if they don't go there. But we will have 70 million. We want to talk about this for next year is our that's our big year. 70 million. And that's with the current players. That's keeping Jared Goff on your team.
Do I got to pull it up again, Russell? We are anticipated to have 90 to 94 million next year. They're saying around 90. It could be up to 94. I can pull it up on my phone right now. I looked it up the other day when I was on this show. Okay.
I'm gonna look it up right now because I have over the cap open for the Vikings. Let's see. 2024 says that we will have 60 million in cap space. But we did just re-sign extended some guys. So we did do some different things right there. But as of right now,
people coming off the contracts too, aren't we losing dead money that we've been paying this year too?
No, this was a year where most of the dead money came off of. We did a couple of things that moved some of the dead money to the later years, but we have most of these guys will stay on the team. We won't have Romeo or we won't have the cap number. Yeah, we're going to be paying a little bit of money for Romeo and Charles for next year, but they won't be on a team. Maybe they'll be able to extend them, but they're playing for a bag of chips this year. Both of them came in for like nothing almost.
Now, a quick question if you get the time. There was scary news coming out of the training camp. I mean, what is there? 4 people injured. Vitai's injured. We already know that he took a huge salary dump just to stay with us. I haven't heard anything on how serious Romeo is. It doesn't seem like GJ is that serious. It sounds like he just had like a knee tweak or something. Nothing.
There's nothing serious out of camp right now. I read a couple things on Vitae. His wasn't a serious thing. Actually, it made it so rookie Corby Sorsdal was able to get more reps at right guard. I think that Vitae, they're just trying to take it easy on him to make sure that he gets to try out and be there at right guard. And Graham Glasgow has also been taking half of the right guard reps as well. And when Vitae went out, Corby Sorsdal came in and took some of them second team reps. So
what you're saying is we finally have a competent medical staff?
I mean, I don't want to go that far yet because it's still only the first week of training camp, so we don't know. I mean, we're hoping that these guys can make it all the way through. They're going to put the pads on this week. That'll say something. But I know that the reports out of camp for the Lions is that Sam Laporta looks like the real deal. Sam Laporta looks like that he is going to be a stud right out of the gate. He moved straight up the depth chart. He started on the third team in OTAs, went to the second team at the end of OTAs, and now he has surpassed all of the other tight ends. He is now playing solely with the first team and is our number 1 tight end.
Now I have a question for you. I put the comment in there. I was listening to a show last night, and I totally disagreed with him. I had to turn off. Lions don't have a fullback. They're going to run with 4 running backs. But if you don't think Laporta's not going to take handoffs here and there? He's 250 pounds, 6 foot, 4'5"? I mean,
I think that when you got a guy, and then I'm going to put Jahmyr Gibbs into this bag too.
Okay.
I think that those two players they're viewing them as positionless players, because in camp they've also been putting Sam Laporta in the X and the Y and the slot, the tight end position from the backfield. They've been also doing the same thing with Gibbs from the backfield, taking handoffs in the slot and the X and the Y, running down the field, catching wide receiver passes.
Mhm.
They are not going to use Jahmyr Gibbs solely as a running back, and they are not going to use Sam Laporta solely as a tight end.
Would
They're
you
going
be
to
surprised if Gibbs got more than 10 carries a game, handoffs? Would that surprise you?
I think that he'll be somewhere between 7 and 12 carries
Mhm.
every game. I don't think he's going to get much more than that. And I do think that he's going to get 10 to 15 targets in the pass game. And I'm not talking running down the field, catching over the shoulder passes. I'm talking like Jared Goff goes, set, hike. And that he gets rid of the ball right away, because, you know, the last thing any of us want to see is Jared Goff outside of the pocket running for his life. So I think that the whole offense is predicated on getting the ball out of his hands in less than 2 seconds. I want it in,
go ahead.
I want it in Laporta's hands because he breaks tackles. I want it in Gibbs' hands because he grabs the ball, makes a guy miss, boom, 10 yards. Like, all of our guys are like that.
Not only does Laporta break passes, he has such physically strong hands, like Ron St. Brown. They don't knock the ball out of his hands. Their hands are so strong. When they have that ball, they've got that ball, and you're going to have a hell of a time knocking it out of their hands.
And there's just something about the way that these guys are preparing in Detroit when you look at them. Like, there's a couple of guys, and Jeremy says right here, Laporta, Gibbs, Campbell, Green, Starling Thomas are all having great camps so far. Antoine Green, and I'm not on this show all the time. I'm always ripping on people for touting late round picks. But when you got a guy that was a 7th round pick that has already taken second team reps, that means this guy's moving up. He's moved ahead of Josh Reynolds, moving ahead of Khalif Raymond, moving ahead of Marvin Jones, more probably because he's injured. But
he's not gonna move. Marvin's too much of a captain on the field to design stuff.
I don't know, man.
What about Miggs? I mean, Jeremy didn't
Denzel Mims too.
Mims, yeah, he didn't even mention him. I'll bet you a bag of $12 Jolly Ranchers, because that's a legal bet, that Mims makes this team.
There we go. I would love to see Mims make this team because they paid almost nothing for him. Like,
Holmes wouldn't go get him if he didn't have the notion that Mims is what we want. Mims is going to be an X. Mims is going to be a deep guy. Mims might only get 5 targets a game, but guess what? You have to cover him. If you don't cover him, you're done.
Eric Thomas says, so sad Laporta is a lion, LOL. Okay, that's we're not unhappy about that.
Sounds like a jealous Eric.
Yeah, Jeremy says Mims is having a great camp too. He walked in day one, and he had a half an hour conversation with quarterback Jared Goff and got a copy of the playbook immediately. Started working, and first person on the field, last person off. He stayed past Amon-Ra St. Brown on his first day because he wants to prove it. When they asked him, I loved his response. And if you get a chance, go watch the Denzel Mims interview from yesterday. Hey, Denzel, are you playing with a chip on your shoulder? Shit, yeah. I mean, it came out of his mouth so fast. He is so sick of dealing with Zach Wilson, Mike White, the corpse of Joe Flacco. Like,
at least he didn't have Fields. At least Fields was throwing to him.
I don't know. Zach Wilson actually had a worse passing year than Justin Fields did. So that's who Mims has had to deal with. So he hasn't had that great of a season. He can't. It hasn't had a very great career so far. So from a skill position, yeah, okay. I got a guy that can run a 4.3 that was drafted in the 2nd round, hasn't done anything yet. So I'm not going to get too excited about him, but if he makes the team, I might get a little excited.
They'll fight
You
a
know?
spot for him. They might put him in a slot where he can just escape. Now, there was something that's terrible, and I know the Detroit Lion News allows you to broadcast on here, so I'm going to be very careful with my language. But what's bull BS is all the negativity that went out to CJ, GJ Blam. See what you get when you leave. The grass isn't greener on the other side, and that there were so many negative comments. Like, what? These guys so jealous of losing him, or are they just trolling?
Yeah, they're probably just trolling.
I'd be jealous of losing him. Come on, admit it. He was one of the 3 players that made the top 10 at position.
I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at so I'll take a wager the trade is predictable. Turns out the Jets 7th, regardless. Mims does not make the team week 1. We keep our 6th and sign Mims week 2 and celebrate if we want him. I don't know about that. I don't think they're going to do anything scurvy like that, because, you know, if they just pick him up, you know, and they let him go, that means that 31 other teams get a shot at signing him too. So I don't see that happening. Outside, if they're going to keep him, a 7th round pick ain't nothing. They're trading down essentially from the 6th to the 7th round with this trade, and it's nothing. Even if they keep him, it's a camp body. There's 90 roster spots right now. For him to jump Marvin Jones,
Russell, we can protect him, right? So if he doesn't make the team, can't we protect him to put him on the practice squad so he can't get pilfered?
if he clears waivers.
So there's no way we can protect him.
Not from when you cut him. Then they'll all 31 teams, whoever has the highest waiver priority would have the first shot at him. So, yeah, I don't see that. I mean, if he can jump these guys, you got Khalif Raymond, Antoine Green, Marvin Jones, and Josh Reynolds. He's got.
Okay, you named all people that are 6 foot or under.
Sure. Well, Antoine Green is 6'3".
Okay.
And he runs a 4.340. He actually looks like the real deal. Actually, I'm more excited about him than I am Mims. But if Mims can jump those guys, that would mean that one of those crafty veterans, like, you could actually see if he makes the team, then Marvin Jones is probably going to get cut. If both Mims and Antoine Green make this team,
I think Marvin is going to be J-Mo's mentor. I truly believe that.
Could be Josh Reynolds that gets cut then. It could be Khalif Raymond that gets cut, because here's the thing, is they're not going to keep like 9 wide receivers, guys, as much as you want these guys. And these guys will leave and probably go somewhere else and play.
What are we going to keep, 5 or 6?
It depends on how they're viewing the other guys, because
some are going to be special team guys. So exactly,
because if they're using Sam Laporta more as a wide receiver, then that's even more. You know, I think Laporta's angling towards being the number 2 wide receiver, even though I think
Laporta is going to get handoffs at fullback, and I really believe that. I believe Montgomery is going to block the shit for him. I believe St. Brown is going to block for him, and the whole offensive line. I won't surprise me if Laporta gets 5 handoffs a game. That will not surprise me.
Wow, man! 6 wide receivers. Jeremy's thinking they're going to get 6 wide receivers, and yeah, lots of competition, and they got 2 guys that might actually be able to compete and be bona fide number 2s. I don't think we have a number 2. A solid number 2 receiver on the team at all.
Is our solid number 2, and we all know it.
Well, he's a number 1. He's a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Like in the
top 10 slot. We don't have an X receiver. You really need an X receiver to stretch the field out, don't you?
Not when you got a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's hard for me not to call him a number 1 wide receiver, because he does everything. He gets wide open. He reminds me of like Wes Welker, like back in the day, you know, like a Hines Ward, like underappreciated. I mean, you ask me right now if I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown or Justin Jefferson, I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown over Justin Jefferson right here, right now. Go to the future. Yeah. Can I? Here's the question that I'll ask. I mean, and you know what? Call me crazy out there.
I'm not calling you crazy.
Chad thinks I'm crazy that I would take Amon-Ra over Justin Jefferson, but I'll tell you why. Because Justin Jefferson is a wide receiver and he can run routes better than anybody and catch the ball better than anybody in the world. But if I asked him to block on the outside for Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery, he might be a little bit too much of a wuss to be able to do that. Amon-Ra is a baller. He plays all 5 phases of the wide receiver game with, being able to block and be in the right space when he doesn't have the ball in his hand. He does that better than anybody in the league. Give me Amon-Ra for the next 5 years. If you give me a clean slate, give me any of these guys.
Let me give you a funny one there, Russell. Everybody complains about EQ. Oh, he can't catch the ball. He drops the ball. The guy's got an 80-point some block rating. Okay. Yep. EQ is on the Bears because he blocks for the running backs, the receivers. He's not on the Bears to catch the ball. If it gets thrown to him, maybe he catches it. But he's not the greatest catcher, but he is one of the best wide receiver blockers in the league. One of.
And it might be a family thing. It might be just the St. Browns, just like, look, we're gonna go in and we're gonna be blockers first. But the cool thing is Amon-Ra he is the total package. But I'm up against it right here. We are at 12:57. I'm about ready to take it off right here.
I appreciate that you're running them 2 hours now, because an hour is never just enough.
Well, it depends. I mean, I go anywhere after 12, I may end it, but if it's good stuff like today, where we got nice engagement, especially when we get a Bill the Packer fan to pop on and do his thing, I really dig that. But I'm going to go through here and plug all this stuff. And Chad, it's always great having you on here. I mean, don't ever think
you don't have it posted everywhere, because I go to all the channels I'm subscribed to and I like the video on all of them, and you only have it posted on main event. It's not even on Bill the Packer fans that I could find.
Oh, it's definitely on Bill the Packer fans.
Okay, I'll go through and I'll like them all for you, because you're a good guy, and I appreciate you tolerating me.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Thank you, Chad, for being on. I'm gonna plug this show right here. Every Monday night we doing this thing, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's the NFC North open mic. You could do your thing. You can come on and represent your team, whether you're a Packer fan, whether you're a Lion fan, whether you're a Viking fan or a Bear fan. Come represent your team. There's Bill the Packer fan. Go follow Bill the Packer fan if you're a Packer fan or a Packer head or whatever you want to call those guys. You
like that?
And then if you're a Bear fan, you saw Woody in the comments. You saw Mike the Bear fan in the comments. You saw some of the Bear fans in there. Go follow Mike the Bear fan. Hallis Hall Report, airing every single Wednesday night, all Bears content. Our Wednesday mornings are going to turn into all Bears content, so we can help him facilitate that. We have our page, and we have over 1,000 people now. 2 months ago, our page was shut down due some douchebaggery, and we're not going to get into that. But the thing is, we started over. We got over 1,000 people in less than 2 months right here. So please go follow our brand new page, Detroit Lions Villain Squad, and we would love to have you. We always love the Detroit Lions news for allowing us to broadcast into their spot. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we do this every single day, 11 a.m. Eastern, football talk with Russell Wayne. That is me. So from Chad and myself right here, Russell Wayne, God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you guys tomorrow with one pride.
All right, so you promise